All right, Ultra Noops Nation. My name is Reid Nelson. This is Izzy. This is This Week in Rec Seeding Meeting Edition. Q4 Fall Season 2014. Guerrillas, number 1 seed. We're not going to talk about them yet. You're going to break down 2 brackets. Mr. Jason Briggs is going to come on in a little bit to break down the other 2 brackets. We're going to start with the Avengers bracket. We're going to call it the Avengers bracket. The Avengers, your 2 seed. Avengers Rebels. But let's start with the playing game. We've got also Bees, UANO, Titans. We're going to start this thing off with UANO and Titans. They're going to play next Tuesday. Do any of those teams have a chance to make a run? Just a minor run. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship.
No. The issue is, can either of those 2 teams beat the Avengers? And Titans definitely not, in my opinion. They can't. UANO, Alex would need to go completely off, but Derek is going to do a really good job on him. And I can't see Alex having a good game with Derek guarding him. So I'm going to say neither one of those teams has a legitimate shot at beating the Avengers.
Okay, so the Rebels-Bees game here. 2 teams with 5 wins, 7-10 game. This will be next Wednesday. Who do you have winning in this game and why? I already know your answer, and then you can talk about where you think the Rebels should be.
Well, here's the interesting thing. The Bees historically have liked to play a zone, and they might throw a zone at the Rebels, which could get interesting. Now, the problem with the Bees is they get frustrated too quickly, which ends up leading to bad basketball. And if there's any team that's going to frustrate you more than the Rebels, there isn't one, right? So you're going to have the game be close early, most likely, just because the Bees are talented. But then they always run into problems in close games where they start yelling at each other, they show bad body language, and it's just going to go downhill from there. The Bees are going to have Brad Carmen there. They're going to have Hamill, and they have to have Andre Gray. All 3 of them are going to have monster games because they're going to be doing a lot of work on the glass. And guarding Kloby and covering Paul is not going to be easy for them. So for the Bees to win, all 3 of those guys are going to have their best games of the season. It's just a bad match. Rebels are pretty much a bad matchup for anybody.
Okay, so Rebels. So you're saying Rebels Avengers in the Elite 8. Mm-hmm. Talk about that game and who you have coming out of the Avengers bracket.
The last time these 2 teams played, the Avengers just ran over them in the championship. I don't think they played last year. It was actually very surprising because you and I did the game, and we were expecting the Rebels to just annihilate the Avengers. I mean, we didn't give the Avengers a chance.
Because the night before they just trounced the Celtics. Was it not the Celtics?
I believe you're right. We'd have to go back and look. The issue for the Avengers is that they're not big enough. They're just not big enough. Kloby and Paul, and you have Jason, the Kloby stopper, and Chris. He did a pretty good job against Ferber when the Guerrillas played, but that's going to be a lot to ask for both of those players. And Briggs doesn't play that many minutes, so Briggs typically plays 25 minutes a game for the Avengers. What are you going to do now? Play him 35 minutes to match Kloby's minutes? So I just don't like the matchup. I think Derek will do a great job on Dustin. I assume Pinkett then guards Cody. The offense-defense for the Avengers guarding the Rebels isn't going to be bad on the perimeter. Where I think they're going to struggle is down low. And I think that'll be the difference. And I think the Rebels will come out of the Avengers bracket.
So even with the Rebels losing 2 straight games, you have them coming out of the bracket.
Well, the Messiah wasn't there last night, so I don't really put much stock into the Guerrillas beating the Rebels, and I don't put much stock into the Blue Chips beating the Rebels. Now, the Blue Chips have beat the Rebels recently. The last time I think the Guerrillas beat the Rebels might have been 4 seasons ago, and Jensen was there for every game besides this one.
Okay, the Blue Chips bracket. We'll start with the playing game. Players Club, Big Smash.
It'll be Big Smash. I think Big Smash is really bad at guarding go-to players. They do a poor job in transition. They lose guys. They don't communicate. So I actually think Tony DeBoer has a big game for the Players Club. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough because the Players Club are just not athletic enough to keep up with Big Smash. And albeit they're big, but Glenn Fair is a load. And if he comes to play, it's going to be tough. Now, here's the question to you. I'm not sure, but how is the Open playoffs going to be decided? Is there going to be an issue for Tuesday, or are they moving to Monday?
Big Smash isn't in Open.
Okay, perfect.
Unless I missed something.
No, their playoffs start
The following week. So they're not in it. So I wasn't sure. I haven't been following Open. So I think Big Smash won't have an issue. And the games are going to be played where?
Tuesday they'll be at Bloomington South. The games will be Bloomington South Tuesday night playing games. Wednesday night, Bloomington South. Thursday night, Fridley.
Okay. And that'll be another bonus for Big Smash. So I believe Big Smash will have a pretty easy run at that game. I'm going to say it's going to be about 15 points.
Okay, go to Wednesday. You've got the Squires 12 seed versus the Muskies 5 seed. Muskies at the highest seed the Muskies have ever had. Who do you have in this game and why?
I really like the way the Muskies play. I know Jason Briggs loves it as well. I think Jason said that Junius Ho's defensive strategy might be the best in rec. If that quote might not be 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's close.
That was Junius Ho said.
Oh, Junius Ho said the Muskies have the best defensive game plan in rec. And I really do like their game plan. I know Jason hates it. But they maximize – I think they maximize what they can do on the court defensively. I think letting teams get comfortable doesn't play into their hand, whereas getting teams frustrated kind of goes in their favor. And Bennett seems to like that tempo of game. He plays much better when the game's kind of quicker. And for me personally, I think Bennett is their best player. With the Squires, I thought they would come out this season and really stand out. I thought they'd be up there 7-1, 6-2. I mean, they made it to the Final Four. They looked really good, and they added Jerry to give themselves a ball handler, which they really needed. And you know, what was his name? Now I'm drawing a blank. The kid that went to college. Marshall Collin. Is he that good to where they look, in shambles without him? I don't know. But I think the Muskies are going to frustrate the Squires because I don't know if Jerry and them really it doesn't something's just not right. So I think the Muskies will play their full court press. They'll create a lot of turnovers. They won't let the Squires get comfortable, and I think the Muskies actually win that game. Although I believe if you kind of pulled UH, the Muskies might be the underdogs.
Is it Jerry's hair? Is that the issue?
I love Jerry's hair. I think that's the only chance they have to win, is if Jerry really lets that hair flow.
Sakanabong. Jerry Sakanabong.
Love it.
Okay, Blue Chips you have Big Smash.
Oh, do I pick Reid's Big Smash here?
Never heard of that team before.
I know Jason has. The Blue Chips, they're the 4 seed. The issue is the Guerrillas played the Blue Chips, and it was just a train wreck for the Blue Chips. Whereas when we played Big Smash, it was a pretty close game. It was the closest game we had up until the Goodfellas loss. So that stands out in my mind. The problem with Big Smash, and the Blue Chips tend to have this problem, but Big Smash is worse at this, is that the game tends to stick for them. And it starts to end up being one-on-one. Arsenio goes one-on-one, then Sam takes some bad shots, and he goes one-on-one. It's just not – sometimes it doesn't get flowy. And I actually think, surprisingly, inserting guys like Bond, Mayer, Briggs, giving them more minutes benefits that team because they're willing passers and they move without the ball, so on and so forth. With Big Smash, they don't use their bench. I mean, even though it's Reid's Big Smash, Reid watches – cush bags from the sidelines all game long.
I look real good doing it, though.
Yeah.
You got to admit.
Yep. And when Cushbag gets yelled out, Reid does the. So that the dynamic there is going to be interesting. I think I like the blue chips. I want to see them win, but I think Big Smash will turn on come playoff time. I think Greg and Glenn are going to get hungry, and they're going to eat. You know why they're hungry? Cush bags.
That's a good tie there. Okay, so you had Muskies over Squires.
I did.
I've already forgotten. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's very late.
Yep.
So you've got Big Smash over Blue Chips.
Correct.
So Big Smash, Muskies, who's going to represent the Blue Chips division in the Final Four?
I'm going to go with the Muskies. Junius, ching, right? After that one, you're liking that. His game plan. I'm going to put faith in Junius' ability to stop Glenn from getting into his sweet spots. I think whoever wins the Squires-Muskies game will also beat Big Smash. So even if the Squires upset the Muskies, I think they'll beat Big Smash. Like I said, I like Big Smash in the playoffs. They can play completely different basketball. My issue is their lack of depth, and when teams play, especially if they play the Muskies that play full court, it might get a little tiring for them. And I don't think they use Aaron Daniels as much as they should, personally, because I think he's a pretty good player, and he's really, his PPV for when he played on the Shockers was like 13 million or 12 million, and now he's dropped all the way down in the sixes, I think. He's not getting the touch. He's not getting just not getting involved enough. So I think the Muskies will win that game just because it's going to be easy to game plan for a three-man show that they put out there. So I think the Muskies will represent the Blue Chips bracket.
Before I let you go, who's going to win the championship?
I would have said the Rebels, but when they're missing key guys, and I assume Dustin will be there for every game. I assume Cody will be there for every game. Jansen, but they looked really bad without Jansen last night. So if Paul, Ferber, Cody, Jansen, DuPont, if one of those guys doesn't show up for one of these games, they could easily lose that game. So I'm not going to go with the Rebels this season. I'm actually going to go. I've never done this before. I'm going to say that the Guerrillas win the championship. And I've never picked my team to win before, but I actually believe that overall they have the best record, they have the best team, and I actually, looking at the road, relative to all the other teams, the road really isn't that tough, personally. So, I might be eating my words on Wednesday or Thursday, but got to ride with my guys. I'm going to go with Guerrillas.
You all know where I stand there, so I won't even say it. But you wanted to chat a little bit about the 6 and the 7.
The 6-7. Here's the thing. I think I had the Rebels ahead of Callahan, and Briggs and I talked about this. Callahan Fob Club are essentially the same team. You look at their records, you look at who they played, who they lost to, who they beat. It's kind of pretty much the same thing. So the Rebels should have either been 6 or they should have been 9. The fact that the Rebels were ahead of Fob and Club but behind Cap really doesn't make sense in a way. It's not even the issue of where Rebels and Cap are. When I look at the board and I see Callahan playing the good fellas, they have Kevin Chase, Emmanuel, Kavarian, Josh Hoyle, 4 guys that overlap, and Callahan only has 6 guys on their roster. So even if 2 guys play with Callahan, they only have 4. So now it's going to be at best a 4-on-4 game, assuming Callahan advances, right? If they beat them.
A lot of ifs there. But let me ask you this.
But Callahan them. If Callahan beats them, they're going to play the good fellas. And do we really want to see a 4-on-4 game? Here's the thing. This is supposed to be a rec basketball league. It's supposed to be fun. I get the integrity side of things. We put the teams up there. We vote them where we think that they should be, and then that's integrity. But at the end of the day, We all pay $80 to play if you pay late like I do. We all pay $80 to play. And to put a team in a situation where they go eight games, bust their ass for 8 games, and they get into the playoffs, and the committee puts them on there, and when two teams, like the Rebels could have easily flipped with the Callahan, and it was a debate. It was 4-3. It was 4-3. Hands go up 4-3. It was a split decision. If it's that damn close, why don't we just flip the two teams? And now Rebels are playing the Goodfellas. Callahan's playing the Avengers. Both teams have a shot to win, and we're not kind of ruining the playoffs.
Where does it stop then, though? Because now we've got Fob 5 playing the Guerrillas.
But it's only one. It's only me.
But where does it stop? Where's the line?
You have 4 guys. It's
so
basically the
4
same
guys is the line?
3, yeah, 4. I'd say 4. I mean, 3
Okay.
you can. But my point is, Callahan only has 6 players, so you're really putting him in a bad
We're
spot.
supposed to be at 7, but I mean,
Yes,
and this is a serious question. This is a closed door meeting to all but one players committee member. I'm not sure why that was, but it's okay. Would you have rather? And this is you can just if we just would have been like Rebels Cap,
Yeah.
because we could have done that. We could have easily done that.
Yeah.
But it's an integrity thing, and like I said, where does it stop? And what qualifies the teams for saying, oh, well, and I mean, heck, we're talking about an Elite 8 game right now. We haven't even played playing games or Sweet 16 games.
Well, the Callahan and Goodfellas are not going to – they're not going to play – they're both in the Sweet 16.
Well, not yet.
What do you mean not yet? They're automatically in the Sweet 16. They're not playing
Oh,
playing
yeah,
games.
correct.
So all Callahan has to do is beat them, and them without Jordan, it's going to be tough.
And the Goodfellas have a game against the Broncos.
They do have a game against the Broncos. Yes, I can.
They're not going to lay down.
I'd say it's an 80% chance. It's an 80% chance both those teams advance. Okay, whatever. Hypothetically, I hope that they don't. I hope one of them loses, so this isn't an issue. But I really don't want to see the Goodfellas walk into the Final Four because Callahan only has 4 guys.
I see what you're saying. It's just a very slippery slope.
Yeah, I get it.
Very slippery.
Two ways
I
to
mean,
look at
I'm slipping on it just thinking about it right now.
Two ways
So-
to look at it.
Okay, so we will get Mr. Briggs on the camera here very quickly to talk about the other two sides, or the complete opposite side of the bracket. Do you have any parting thoughts before next Tuesday's playing games?
No. I think for the most of it, we did the seating's a little different this time around. When doing the board, I was very surprised to see just kind of there really aren't that many. There's a lot of really good teams, but there's only a few teams that I can see winning the championship. And once the teams went on the board, and I saw the blue chips at 4, Muskies at 5, Callahan at 6. I mean, I don't know. I don't. The talent's still there. Has the talent kind of
Spread out.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but I was surprised to see that because, from 4 to potentially 13 or 14, any of those teams playing each other could knock each other off. So I was just kind of surprised to see that. I wasn't expecting it, but once you put it down on the board, you're like, oh,
Sure.
yeah. That's it.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we'll get Mr. Briggs on here right now. I'm here with Jason Briggs. Jason, we're going to be looking at the number 1 seeded Guerrillas side of the bracket.
Okay.
Let's start with the playing games. Crusaders, Red Devils.
Rematch of Week 1, a dominating 20-point Crusaders win. I think the Red Devils were just not used to playing without Trey, not used to playing without Jordan, and not used to playing without Jeff Stevens, who was a big part of their team last season. They've gotten better since then. They still don't have any marquee wins. So I would still pick the Crusaders to win, although not in a 20-point fashion this time. So probably 2-possession game maybe.
Okay. Fob 5 Club. Fob 5 loses tonight, which drops them down quite a bit to where they could have been. Who do you have in this game?
A lot of this has to do with the timing of the games, because I think the club is going to need a very fresh Helmy to have a chance in that game, because they lose a lot of matchups in there based on the fact that Fob plays smarter than they do. So having a dominant big man like Helmy at his best would be very key for them. If the Guerrillas get the early game and the club gets a later game, I really think Helmy's important enough to where that'll swing it and Fob will win by maybe double digits. But if the club gets an early game, then it's probably a basket or two difference. But I still think, even though the club has the athleticism up and down the lineup, Fob plays smarter, and they're going to win.
Okay, Crusaders have any shot against the Guerrillas?
They played almost a perfect first half against them a season or two ago, and the Guerrillas fought tooth and nail and got clawed back in the game and just barely beat them at the end by a few baskets. Will not happen this time. The Guerrillas will blow them out.
And Elite 8, Fob 5 v. Guerrillas.
The Izzy Bowl.
Will he sit out?
No, you don't.
You sat out last time in
You
Fob
don't
1.
get free seasons and then just sit out, right? No. I think he should play for the Guerrillas because the psyche on that team is so frazzled that last time he didn't, they just went in the tank. So if he wants the Guerrillas to win, he better just not leave that team at any point in time.
So you're predicting the Guerrillas
I
will
would
win
pick the
then?
Guerrillas, yes.
Okay. The other side of the bracket for you would be the Goodfellas.
Yep.
I forget which one we're doing. Let's start with the playing games. Broncos, the only 2-win squad in the tournament, Sock Thumpers.
Yeah. It all depends on the health of the Sock Thumpers. Now, they played the day before Thanksgiving, and Big Man, whose name I'm going to blank on, had
Rablin?
No, Rablin was there. They have a new big dude. Izzy's saying it's Andrew something. Sorry, dude, I don't know your name. But he's a horse. And he's a giant of a man. And he sprained his ankle and was unable to go a couple weeks ago. They had a bye this week. So if he's healthy, that gives them 5 players. And if Eicher shows up, that gives them 6. There's no depth on that team. And they're going to need a full squad to beat the Broncos, even though the Broncos just crapped the bed hilariously against them this past week. Them had 4 players for the first 21 minutes. 5th guy finally showed up with 1 minute left in the half, and they beat the Broncos, who had 6 guys. So, I mean, the Broncos are no sure bet, but I don't think the Thumpers are going to be healthy, so I'll go Broncos by 8.
Taylor Nelson. Name of the big man.
Thank you.
Okay. Callahan Auto Parts, 6th seed.
Yep.
Them, 11th seed. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. The guards will match up very nicely. Kevin Chase will be the difference. Jensen's out, so the zone that them plays is not going to be nearly as effective because Jordan is the key. Not in the middle, but playing up top, getting in passing lanes. He makes it really difficult to make the proper passes. Him being out, Callahan's going to win. It'll be close because Cap does dumb things, but maybe 8 points. I don't see them winning.
Okay. Goodfellas Broncos. It's been a long night here. So Goodfellas Broncos.
Rematch of, I think, week 2. Goodfellas got beat by them week 1, and then they came back the next week and kicked the crap out of the Broncos by about 25 points. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think the Broncos have a little more fight in them this time, but they're not going to be stopped by – Goodfellas aren't going to be stopped by the Broncos. And
then the game that maybe everybody or nobody will be looking forward to, Goodfellas Callahan Auto.
I don't agree with Izzy very often. We were both on the Rebels bandwagon for this to be either 6 or 9. And I think when you're talking about drawing a line, if it results in a 4-on-4 or 4-on-5 game, that's when the line's drawn. That's when you say, okay, is one seed really going to make that big a difference? So I'm kind of upset. I get it. This is proof that we don't doctor the seeds. Like, this is how they came out, so we haven't changed them. But yeah, with Lamont not playing for Cap, they only have 6 guys. So it's a 5-on-4 or 4-on-4 game, and that to me is unacceptable. So I'll go Cap because they have the better roster. Goodfellas because they have the better roster.
Your Gold Cup champion?
I'll just jinx the Guerrillas and say the Guerrillas finally get over the hump. But I mean, I'm calling in all my karma here to hope they get knocked out at some point in time.
It's gonna be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, okay, MVP candidates. After an exhaustive discussion amongst players, committee members, we came up with 4 MVP candidates this season. From the number 1 seeded Guerrillas, Mr. Ratty, Kyle Ratty. Talk about Ratty's game.
He doesn't use his ass enough, but otherwise he is almost an ideal big man. Rebounds, plays, he kind of underrated D. I think people may not really give him credit, but for a big guy, he's moving, he's hustling, and deadly from the 3-point line. But again, he needs to use his butt more. But I'll take him. I mean, I'm going to try to poach him for next season. So,
from the number 3 seeded Goodfellas and number 6 seeded Callan Auto Parts, leading PPV or the PPV leader in Fridley, not so much in Bloomington, but enough in Fridley. Kavarian Williams, talk about his game.
He's the one guy the Avengers typically can't stop. He is the only guy who typically stops Kavarian is Kavarian. And money is a great nickname for him because when he is on, he's money. Shot selection's poor, but the guy is a one-man fast break machine, and he absolutely deserves to be on the list.
The 6-2 Muskies have their first MVP candidate, Ronnie Olson. Talk about his game.
First, did you know that Ronnie Olson was going to come back to the Blue Chips, but unfortunately we had an 8-man squad, so I started recommending teams for him to join, like, hey, check out this one or check out this one, and I threw the Muskies out there.
I didn't get that call. Funny.
No, you know how I feel about Big Smash. If it was truly Reid's Big Smash, I would have sent Ronnie. I would have said, hey, Reid Nelson, great dude, great team. You're going to love him. But I actually like Ronnie, so I pointed him in the Muskies direction, and I kind of am regretting it a little bit because he's having a great year.
He come back and bite you in that game.
He's really efficient. He's really smart. He's the ideal teammate. Rebounds well. Doesn't shoot dumb shots. I miss him. I really do.
From the 7-seeded Rebels, the Messiah, Ryan Jansen.
Yeah, this one I laugh at. I have as big a crush on Jansen as everyone else does, but I have a really tough time distinguishing Jansen, DuPont, Ferber. Which one makes that team go?
Well, I think last night maybe he answered that question.
No, because I think if Paul's gone, the same result happens.
Well, yeah,
I think if DuPont's gone, the same result happens.
Yeah, I think you can make that argument, but
and that's the thing with Jansen. I love Jansen, and if I had the first pick in any draft that could take a guy, I would take Jansen. But for MVP, I have such a hard time distinguishing him from two of his also elite teammates, and it's not their fault. They're all good, but if we were going to do a 6-man ballot, I'd have DuPont and Ferber on here too. So I can't see him winning this because I can't differentiate them.
Sure.
Love them. I do. I love them.
Truly. So you can go online. You can vote for the All-Stars, or excuse me, not the All-Stars, the MVP candidates. Next Tuesday will be the play-in games. 4 play-in games. Bloomington South Lifetime Fitness. Tuesday, Bloomington South. 4 play-in games. The Sweet 16 games will be in Bloomington South on Wednesday. Bloomington South Wednesday, Sweet 16. The Elite 8, Fridley. Elite 8 Fridley on Thursday. The following Wednesday, Final 4, Bloomington South. Championship game, Fridley. Checking with our producer back there, Fridley it is. I will actually be gone for the Final 4 in the championship.
Oh, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be at the Dolphins-Vikings game.
Nice.
Poor planning. I'm very upset. I'm thinking about changing my flight because I need to be around for this, especially if Reid's Big Smash is in the finals.
You know the game's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, no, we're flying down on Wednesday. That was poor planning.
It was.
Very poor. So, all right, we will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to cut that right there, by the way.
There's two guys I want to highlight, 2 rookies I want to highlight from Fridley and Bloomington. From Bloomington, it's Storm Graham.
Yep.
Somebody in Fridley please pick him up. Fridley could use some more talent. Pick up Storm Graham. Even if he doesn't want to go to somebody, maybe pay for his membership or pay for his league fee. Who knows? Get creative. The other name is Jake Gave. He's an ideal teammate. He's perfect. He knows he can't shoot, so he doesn't. He crashes boards. He hustles his ass off, and he's good around the hoop. Teams in Bloomington, mid-pack, maybe Crusaders, could pick him up. Blue Chips could pick him up. I mean, no, they're not mid-pack. They're pretty good, but he could put him over the hump.
And I would like to mention Ethan Welter from the Titans, who is also a very sweet player.
So those are my two guys. Pick them up, make your team better. Reid, take us home.
Thanks, everyone.